President, to see the chance that her dad will make a complete fool of himself. So we're putting a little silver star for bravery on Sharon's, on her diploma tonight. It is for her that I offer this comforting note. I have been to a lot of graduations in my time. I have heard a lot of speakers, distinguished speakers, give a lot of distinguished and wise advice, and I have to tell you the truth, I can't remember any of it, nor can I remember who said it. That is because graduation day, I don't think anyone ever remembers a graduation speech, because graduation day is about the graduates. It is about what you have done, not about what someone said. So it's about that is what you should remember tonight, your graduation. You know, the psalmist said, there are days made in heaven, and surely graduation day must be one of those. What could possibly be a happier time than families coming together to celebrate the achievement of one of their members? And graduation day is a passage. It is a turning point like no other in life. So many times, it is not until years after an occurrence that we realize it really was a turning point. Time, months, years can pass before we come to realize just how powerful an influence a certain teacher may have been on our thinking, how much we really learned from a mentor who did not seem to be a mentor at all at the time, how important the lesson was that we drew from a certain book or an experience or a friendship, or whether or not we made the right or wrong decision on whether or not we took or did not take a certain job. In my own life, I have come to understand that what seemed at the time to be some of the worst things that ever happened to me, in the end turned out to be some of the best that ever happened to me. And I think it is usually the same in all lives. But graduation day is not like that. Graduation day is a crossroad about which there is no uncertainty and no hidden meaning. You knew when you arrived here that you would never be quite the same again. You are leaving one part of your life and you are entering another part. Once this weekend passes, you will no longer be students at the University of Pennsylvania. You will be graduates of the University of Pennsylvania, and that has a nice ring, doesn't it? And it is also a little scary, isn't it? It will be different for us, too, your parents, because we'll no longer be the parents of students at Penn. We will be the parents of a Penn grad, and that is also a little scary for us, too. So what is on the other side of this turning point? What awaits us once we have completed this passage? I'd like to say that I believe you're coming of age at a time when the world has undergone the most significant and rapid changes in our history, and it has not all been for the best. It's been said that things are in such a mess these days that if one says to a young person, the future is yours, the response might well be, is that a promise or is that a threat? But the change has not been all for the bad either. To the contrary, most of it has been good. During the span of just my lifetime, I saw my parents' generation confront an evil that truly threatened to plunge the world back into the dark ages. But they fought World War II and they won. As I came of age, I saw our country undergo the two most significant social revolutions since the war between the states, the civil rights movement and the women's movement, and the rightness of those causes prevailed, and we're the better for that. And if those changes seem remarkable, consider what has happened just in the time that you have been here. The year that you enrolled at Penn, there was still the Soviet Union, and the world was the way it had been for as long as I can remember, divided east and west. But now the Soviet Union is gone, vanished. The walls and the barbed wire, the sentry posts that were thrown up all across Eastern Europe, not to keep people out, but to keep the people within from escaping, all of those have fallen, every one. On the other side of the world, Chinese students rose up against oppression, and who can doubt that eventually they too will prevail? Just as was the case at the other end of the world, where a group of crackpots finally concluded they could not keep Nelson Mandela in jail forever, even though he never tried to escape, and so they had to let him go. and eventually there too right will prevail. These are wondrous events, but for we here in America, they should have very special meaning. Think of this. It was American music that blared from the boom boxes as young Germans danced on the Berlin Wall before they tore it down. It was our Statue of Liberty that the Chinese students chose as the symbol of their freedom. It was "We Shall Overcome," a song of the American civil rights movement that was sung in the town squares of Eastern Europe as they tore down the statues of the dictators. And it was from the words of Thomas Jefferson that both Boris Yeltsin and Václav Havel said in different times and places that they found their inspiration. When oppressed peoples adopt the symbols of our revolution for their revolutions, there can be no finer compliment for any people. For what they are doing is validating our value system and our ideals. They are helping us also to understand where our real strength as a nation lies, not in our weapons, but in our values. Those values, what we stand for, what we hold dear, how we treat each other, and what we think of ourselves. They are telling us that in the long run, our real influence in the world will rest largely on what others think of us. Such are the ways that nations are judged, and so too the way we measure the worth of individuals. There will be good days and bad, but what we have seen over these past 4 years is the ongoing good news that the human spirit still prevails, but only because there are good people there to nurture it. All people want the same things: an equal chance, the right to be free to pursue the truth in their own way, and the opportunity to make a better life for their children than they found for themselves. Nations do best, individuals find the greatest inner peace when they try to help others fulfill those innate longings. For you, the sun is beginning its journey across the morning sky. But as it moves toward the afternoon, as it has already for my generation, you will find it shines equally on people of all kinds. But when you are my age, I believe you will look back and say that those in life you most admired, those whose influence you found greatest, were those who nurtured the human spirit by appealing to the best in human nature, not those who tried to exploit the worst. Be with those who look for the best, and you will be the happiest. And remember, too, why you feel so good about yourself today. It is not because you have a piece of paper that says you are about to graduate or that you've graduated. It is because you set out to do something and did it, because you have enriched your intellect by learning things you did not know, as you enriched your lives with the friendships that always come through the shared experience of a difficult and a worthwhile task. Whatever the shape of the world, you are better prepared to deal with it than my generation, because the store of knowledge grows with each generation, so there is much more from which to learn. But I will also tell you that of all the things you have learned, there is one thing you cannot know until you sit where we sit, and until your children sit where you sit. You can never know how proud we are of you and how much we love you. And I say tonight, of all the things there are to know, that is the very best. Good luck. Thank you. God bless you all.
We come now to the roll call of graduates. I call Melvin Hammerberg, for the Department of American Civilization. Okay.
Mark Edward DeVere White, Jessica Zerkel, Andrew Stephen Lipitsky, Marnie Elaine Goldman,
Well done. That's great.
Alexandria Jade Lee, Robin Ann Kochi Ramos, Meredith A. Dwyer, Julie Ann Berliner, James F. Graham III, Regan E. Allen, James Lawrence Tebow, Lawrence Wagner,
Alan Mann for anthropology. Okay. We're going to do Asian and Middle Eastern Studies next. Professor Nancy Steinhardt. Okay, Asian and Middle Eastern Studies. Yes? No? No? Aha. All right. I think we're all set up here now. Anthropology, Professor Alan Mann. Yeah.
Gavin Yearwood, Jessica R. Winiger, Marcy Kelsey, Hillary Marion, Mara Turbiner, Meredith Fisher, Michelle Lynn Stein, Allison Davis, Anne Romester Rua, Catherine Roth Callahan.
Keep going. Well done. All right. Have we jumped the line? Okay. Congratulations. Yeah. Well done. Well done. Yeah, congratulations. Good. You're Asian and Middle Eastern studies? Or you're anthropology?
Well, they wouldn't have got my name right.
Ames. All right, Asian and Middle Eastern Studies, Professor Nancy Steinhardt.
Anna Sue, Jennifer Page Hendler, Neil Matthew Doherty, Marcus Higgins, Mark Shookman, Hayes Lewis, David Goldsmith, Matthew Reeves, Lisa Noguchi, Scott Cotton, Jose Ponte, Paul Andre Charles Aboud, Lisa Beebe, Rachel Gain, Susan Ha-Young Chu, Naranjan Karnik, Hong Anna Sue, Amy Lee Rosenblum, William Droman Cannon, Supna Choksi, Cami Maylee Michelle Dozier, Jason Connor, Joshua Green, Tanya Aviv Adler, Aaron Moshe Mandel, Jonathan Levine Lerner, Linda Flores, Jennifer Orange, Leola Doria Roberts, Betty Magome, Alan Lamb,